All right, thank you. And we're going to talk a little bit about athletic turf safety and research at Iowa State. So, everyone always thinks about the important athletic fields or the very visible ones. So Jack Trice Stadium, maybe your favorite professional team. But there's thousands more of athletic fields that are actually out there that actually have higher use and smaller budgets. And so there's a stat that says there's 90,000 athletic fields in the United States. Many more that are not even registered because they don't even know the registration process. And so when we conduct athletic turf research, we're actually trying to conduct for all these fields out there. So why is this important to us? Youth injuries under the age of 14 cost the U.S. public $49 billion in 1997. And we know that that number is even higher today with the rising cost of health care. 20% of injuries are related to the playing surface, and that's directly related to the playing surface. So our goal as turf professionals or those that care about turf management is to make sure that the surface never causes an injury. And then 10% of lawsuits claim that the athletic field was inadequately maintained. Athletic field maintenance isn't specified there on what's proper maintenance, and we know that people sue at a higher rate than when this study was done in the 1980s. So this number is even higher. So you can see athletic field safety is a major concern in our economy and can really affect cities, school districts, everyone that's involved in this, as well as the athlete and their body as well. So what's the problem? Well, we know that the average football game, 78% of traffic is concentrated to 7% of the field. We've actually counted those footsteps, and we figured out that the highest wear area is 56 cleat marks per square foot. We also know the max concentration is around the middle of the field. Makes sense. Middle of the field, you don't score a touchdown on every play. So with the repeated traffic, whether it be synthetic turf or natural turf, you have a reduction in traction and an increase in surface hardness in these high traffic areas. So this is kind of the zone of traffic concentration. And this is the area that we really want to study the most and learn the most about. So one of the ways that we actually track athletic field safety or the performance is by simulating athletic field traffic. And so we use this machine here, a modified traffic simulator. And basically what it does is 2 passes of this simulates the highest wear area on a football field. It's also the same downforces as a 300-pound person pushing on another 300-pound person. It does a fabulous job of both beating up the turf cover and compacting the soil. So it's very similar to damage that you would see on an actual football field after a football game. We also track turf grass performance through digital image analysis. And so what we do is we go out, we take digital pictures of our turf plots with various management practices to them, and then we scan them for percent green cover. We always want to optimize. The higher the percent green cover, the better the performance. So the question we oftentimes get is, well, how does synthetic turf compare to natural grass? And so these next few slides actually show some of the past history of that. So we've done studies that have actually compared surface hardness. Surface hardness is important because it's related to concussions. So the one device that you see here, the F355 apparatus A, is traditionally used to measure surface hardness on synthetic turf. And what we found is after 30 simulated traffic events, synthetic turf is the same as Bermuda grass, which is a natural grass, which is traditionally grown in southern states. And Kentucky bluegrass has a lower surface hardness. Now when we look at the cleg, which is traditionally used both by the NFL for testing surface hardness as well as with most natural turf fields, we see that synthetic turf is harder than Bermuda grass, which is harder than Kentucky bluegrass. So what we know is Kentucky bluegrass, which is the predominant athletic field in Iowa, actually gives us the lowest surface hardness of all athletic field surfaces. And so that's a good thing that limits concussions. So when you hear synthetic turf is actually safer, in this situation it is not. When we look at lower extremities, that's the other big concern. There's been several studies out there and nothing's really conclusive, but what we found is with rotational resistance, all surfaces, whether they be synthetic or natural, perform similarly. We've also done studies looking at horizontal and vertical forces on the lower leg with a robotic leg. And what we found is synthetic turf is higher than Bermuda grass to Kentucky bluegrass. We've also found surface temperatures to be very high in synthetic turf, and so that's a concern as well. On a 90-degree day, it's not uncommon for synthetic turf to be 150 to 194 degrees Fahrenheit. Natural grass is going to be 1 to 2 degrees above or below the air temperature, so that's a big concern as well. So the other thing that we spend a lot of time educating the public on is concerns with weed control. Some cities have instituted pesticide bans, and so what we know is when weeds are move into an athletic field, they don't handle traffic as well. The surface becomes harder, and you have in this situation, here's some data that shows you're twice as likely for a concussion when you have a high amount of weeds. So where are we headed in the future? One of the things we're looking at is mixing synthetic turf with natural grass. We know synthetic turf has its place, but we want to try to get the safety characteristics of natural grass. And so that's kind of where we're headed. Thank you.